Today for Primetime Local News, I'm joined with Ellen A., CPA, formerly known as Lucky and Associates, to talk about filing taxes as it is tax season. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us here today.
No problem. Glad to help.
So first, because it is tax season, what are some important things that you think people should be aware of when it comes to filing taxes?
Well, this time of the year, you often get a lot of stuff in the mail, stuff from your employer, like a T4. Sometimes you may, like if you're a member, say at the Lloydminster Co-op, for example, you might get a T4A, which is like you get a little bit of income from that. And then if you have investments, then you might get some tax slips from your bank. So if you do, if you spend money on RSPs, you might get some RSP slips along the way. So yeah, check your mail fairly frequently in the month of February and early March. There'll be probably a fair bit of, there could be quite a number of tax documents depending on what you're all involved in. So.
And what are some tips and tricks that you have for people wanting to do it on their own?
Well, there's a couple of options. There's some pretty good tax software out there. You could go to Walmart, you could go to Staples. They have some pretty decent tax software. I've used it before for just helping out a couple of friends here and there, and it's pretty straightforward. Like especially if if you're a person who is employed and maybe don't have a business or anything like that. It's probably the ideal thing to do, and it doesn't cost all that much. I think you can pay like $40-50 and that gets it done for you, and it could be pretty efficient. If you have some more stuff going on, maybe you have a rental property, maybe you have some complex investments or something like that, or own a business, might be better to go to see an accounting firm or a tax preparation office.
So if somebody had more than one way of income this past year, would you recommend they go to a trained professional, or is it something that they can do on their own?
Could still be done on your own. Like if you were on CRB or on EI, for example, maybe you were laid off for a while, and then you came back to work, like those stuff, like they're mostly just from tax slips, and a lot of that stuff really you could do most of that using tax software. It's more so if you got like employment expense, like things that have a little bit more judgment, like employment expenses, business statements, rental properties. That's probably where you want to seek a professional for sure.
And when would you recommend for people to aim to get this done?
Well, your deadline is April 30th for the majority of people. That's the deadline. There's some exceptions, like if you are self-employed, have rental property, your deadline might be June 15th, so that could be extended. But in all cases, though, any tax that is due, personal tax that is due April 30th. So that's ideal for most people to have it filed before then, which it gives you enough time, because usually the last bit of tax slips will come in usually middle of March. There's the occasional time where you might have some investment income that might go on what they call a T3 slip, and T3s are due March 31st for like that get issued to individuals. So some people might not have all their tax slips until beginning of April, even in some cases. So.
And when it comes to going to a firm and having a professional help out with taxes, how much does it usually cost to get that done?
It varies depending on who you go to. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head as to what the lowest quoted returns are. I feel like it's probably around $80, maybe $90. And then if you go to a chartered professional accounting firm, I think they range. You'll probably see a range of anywhere between $150 to probably, I don't know, $220, $230. Like there'll be a little bit of a range there depending on who you go to. But yeah, and that those when I say those rates, those are usually for individuals who are employed, like employed by an employer, and then just have basic. I would call that as a basic tax return.
Is there any other important information that you would like to pass along?
Well, there's The one thing that's still available to taxpayers is if you can still buy RSPs until the end of until February 28th. And if you buy RSPs, that can go against, that could help reduce your taxable income for 2021 here. So that's an opportunity still. And another thing some people often don't think of is, during the year, if you're making a fair bit of money and you want to donate something to charity, that's an option. You can get a charitable donation receipt for that.
Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us here today.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.